Super. 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 That's more enough. I'm happy today. So copy constructor. It's similar to the functionalities, but in copy constructor, before I talk about copy constructor, I'll give a scenario. Accept employee object, employee data from the user. Okay. And display data. Display data to the console using copy constructor. This is my case statement. Right? User has to enter employee name, designation, and salary. 3 values you need to accept. After accepting that, with the help of copy constructor, I want to return data. This is what my value. So first, what I can do is fanning. ఏమైంది? Okay. File, project. Next, sample, copy, construct. Project is sample, copy, construct. Then next, then create. Okay. Till yesterday's class, it has been there in the drive. Did you saw that? నేను ఇటు అటు పోతున్నాను కదా, అందువల్ల నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడానికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు మీకు ఆడియో కట్ అవుతుంది. నేను చూశాను, అది నేను రెండింటిని సింక్ చేయలేను కదా. యు నీడ్ టు బేర్. కొంచెం రోజులు పోయి కొంచెం స్ట్రెంత్ వచ్చిందంటే మైక్ తీసుకుంటాం. ప్రస్తుతానికి ఈ స్ట్రెంత్కి మైక్ ఎందుకు వేస్ట్గా. So I created a class, okay, and then I created a one more class called employee. I'm creating a one more class called employee. Right? I have 2 classes. One class program.cs, other class employee. Right? In the employee class, I'm having 3 information. public string employee name public string salary public string designation, right? I'm using a class which holding these three value. Now I'm going to use a constructor. It is called employee. Oh, I'm not having anything. I'm just building the project. My project is failed. Why? Program doesn't have suitable main method. So here public static void okay. Now I'm building the project. It got succeeded. Right? There are certain warnings. I'll tell you why. Because I'm not using those warnings. Okay. Now what I'm planning to do in this method, public void get data. Get data. Okay. Here I'm trying to get value from the user. My employee name is equal to console dot read line. So I'm reading data from the user, right? So console dot remain. Tell me what you want. Immortative. Enter the employee name. Okay. Now I'm using here designation. Okay. Salary. I'm using salary. Run it. Will succeeded. Okay. Now go to program. Here I'm trying to create a object. Okay. I'm trying to create an object of class employee. And then I'm going to call a method employee dot where is that method? Get data. Unda? Yeah. You see there is a method. Okay. Now I'm putting a breakpoint here. I'm running the project. Object is created and it is calling a method inside the class. So what it is asking, enter the employee name. Narendrababu, Associate Director. Okay. salary is some 32 lakhs. Okay. Now if you see, I got the data, whatever I entered. 1 second. Hello. See here, associate director, everything, all the data. Now what I want to do is, once I create the object, this object I can pass it to the another variable. There, see, right now you don't have any constructor. You have only the default constructor. Right? You have only default constructor. Now I'm planning to create public employee, right? Here, I'm going to use my object as employee. In this employee, I'm going to use like this. In that, I'm going to copy employee name is equal to underscore employee dot employee name. This is how you have to pass. Why I'm using this? Because the class, whatever you are having the same class, I am taking the attribute of this class. I am passing a constructor, one of the parameter as an object. What is the object you are passing? Employee class object. So employee class object is holding the members. What are all the members employee class object holding? What are the employee variables we declared in the employee class? Employee name, designation, salary. Or you got my point? So if you are having an employee name, designation, and salary, the data is already available. The same object I am passing to the another constructor. Or you got my point? So you are copying the object as a one more constructor. So when you are passing an employee object, what are all the fields and attributes are available? Employee name, designation, salary. Done? Or you got my point? Now, save here, you go here, try to create another object. Employee. See here the problem. If you are declared a constructor explicitly, you need to pass the object. if you are not using a constructor explicitly, it will take default constructor. If you are using explicitly as a constructor, what you need to do? You need to declare one more constructor which doesn't require a parameter. You got my point? So go to the employee object. Right? It's a simple. You're not going to do anything. I got my point. Now, if you go here, see that this doesn't have any issues. I got my point. Now, take another employee class. You see, it is giving me another employee one. But here, I'm going to pass what object? Employee object. Object which I created after getting the data, the same object I'm passing to this constructor. I got my point? So this object is holding the value of employee name, designation, salary. I got my point? And then I'm trying to create an employee one object. I got my point? So you are copying one object data to another object. You are copying one object data to another object with the help of constructor. With the help of constructor. You got my point? So now see the program. Before that, right? So what is the employee name it is asking? What is my designation? Associate. Movie gadu. Technical. Salary is some 32 lakhs. Now what will happen? It is calling an object. Now see the object is holding all the values. Now see this object is holding a value. Holding the value. Right? Now, one by one, I'm passing. I'm assigning. Now what happened? These values are copying the older object to the new object. Values are copying from older object to new object. I got my point. Whatever the object you are passing, the older object as one of the constructor, what will happen? That value will be taken and assign it to the new variable. I got my point. And that value will be available in a variable, new variable which I created. You got my point? So I had made a copy constructor here. I made a copy constructor. You got my point? Now, with this particular object, I want to display data to the user. So how I'm going to do that? How I'm going to do that? Just go and use public void display data. You got my point? Console dot enter the employee name is comma. What argument I have to pass? Employee name argument. Same way, I have to copy this entire object. I'm going to use designation is. Designation is. Okay, here I'm going to use salary is. I'm going to change the variable here underscore designation. Here I'm going to change that underscore salary. Build it. Now, possible null reference assignment. What is that? That's not a problem. So here, employee name string dot empty. Salary string dot empty. Designation string dot empty. Control A, K, T. When you build it, you'll get only 13 warnings. Now 3 warnings. How to handle this warnings? What you can do, use dot toString. Will it work? Yes. What like that? Okay, I'll tell you what is that issue. This is something like null references. Okay, that I will take care in later point of time. When to go for a null, not null. Yeah. Now, you understand? So, right click, outlining, collapse to definition. Now, how many methods we created? I have one constructor which doesn't have any parameter. I have another constructor which have employee as an object. Another, I have 2 methods. What are all the methods? Get data, display data. You see there is a one reference, 0 reference. What is the difference? In the program.cs file, I had used all these 3, but I never used this one. So now I am going to do that. In the program.cs file, I simply use employee 1 dot display data. Now, if you go back, you see the reference is coming. When you click on reference, you see here in program.cs file, line number 16, employee 1 dot display data has been called. That is the beauty of Visual Studio Intelligence. Or you got my point? So if you want to understand from which file to which file, from which class to which class, from which variable to which variable the reference are making, with the help of this, every method top, see, I write a method called getData. Now, if you go back to the program.cs, I try to use employee dot display data once again here. Not in employee 1, I'm using employee dot display data. So how many references this display data has? So how many references it has to show? See, it is showing 2. I got my point. So with the help of a method, in a single method, I can understand how many people are accessed. Got my point? That is the beauty of Visual Studio. Earlier, you don't have this feature. In 2010, 2008, 2019 and all, you have to right click and view references. Now they've given this feature. Now, by seeing and understand where and all I got the method. Where and all I use the method. Or you got my point? So these and all will be important. Now come back, save all, build the project, run the project. What is our name? Narendra. What is our designation? Salary is. Now you see already display data is done with the object I created without a constructor. Or you got my point? And second thing is I'm running. You see another display data. Got it? So can I say simply like this? Console dot write line constructor invoked. Constructor invoked. Can I put like this? And because to understand, I'm copying once again. I'm putting here. You simply say copy constructor invoke. Right? I have a constructor invoked. I have copy constructor. Now you see, when you run the project, first time, which constructor is getting invoked? Which constructor will get invoked? Huh? Default constructor. See, I am closing this. I am commenting this. Just see the beauty. Now I had commented this. When I build the project, it throws error. What it is throwing? There is no argument given that correspond to the required parameter of underscore employee. Because there is no default constructor. Why? If we use a constructor explicitly, whether it should be a parameterized constructor, whether it should be a non-parameterized constructor, by default, it will not take the default constructor. Only the created constructor. A class doesn't have any constructor, default constructor will get invoked. If a class has a constructor with different parameter, default constructor will not work. This is also one of the entry point. People may twist you, saying that I have a constructor which has a parameter. Whether my default constructor will work or not. What is your answer? What is your answer? It will not work. Why? Because we already explicitly created a constructor. It means that when I'm trying to create an object, the default constructor will not get invoked. Only the explicit constructor will get invoked. Sir, Nabil. Clear? So now go back, uncomment it. Now try to see the run the program. Okay, just now. Yeah. See, what is the constructor invoke? Default explicit, implicit, explicit constructor without parameter. Explicit constructor without parameter has been invoked. Now, Narendra, simply say director, simply say some 23, 23, 23. Okay. Now see the list of program. The data which I entered immediately started printing with the older object. Employee name is Narendra, designation is director, salary is what are the data I entered, and then you are trying to pass the employee object to another object as a parameterized constructor. There, your copy constructor got invoked. Employee name is Narendra, designation is director, salary is 2323. See, 80 to 90% copy constructor will not used in real time. But why people are asking in interview to screen the candidate? I can say 99% people will not use copy constructor. They will use passing the object for different class to different class, not in the same class. When we develop the project as mini project, that time I can explain. But you need to understand. Now coming back to the notes, you have to tell me, I will answer, I will write. What is my first point? What is my first point? Copy constructor. What is my first point? We write a program. According to the program, what is your first point? Before creating object, before creating an object without passing parameter, before creating object with default constructor is not possible. With the default constructor is not possible. That is my very first point. Am I right? Do I create an object with the default constructor in copy constructor? Not possible. First point is strike down. Second point. What is your second point? After creating an object, we need to pass a parameter as object to the object as object, pass object as a parameter. Pass object as a parameter to the constructor. Right? So this is called copy constructor. This is called copy constructor. Now you understand? Now you understand the copy constructor. Only 2 points compared to that older public or parameterized constructor. Here you will have only 2 points. Point number 1: before creating an object with the default constructor is not possible. Second point: after creating an object, we need to pass an object as a parameter to the constructor. This is called copy constructor. If anyone asks you what is copy constructor, your second point is the answer. Your second point is the answer. Before that, you are putting first point saying that copy constructor should say in that case, can I say copy constructor will be implemented using explicit and parameterized object as a parameter. Object as a parameter to the constructor. Right? So copy constructor will be implemented using explicit and object as a parameter to the constructor. Object as parameter to the constructor. I got my point. So 3 points we need to discuss. The first point is, before creating an object with the default constructor is not possible. I'm trying to create an object for default constructor. Is it possible in copy constructor? No. Second point, after creating an object, we need to pass object as a parameter. What object? Created object. We need to pass created object as a parameter. Say, I'm going very slow. Created object as a parameter to the constructor. This is called copy constructor. Third point is, copy constructor will be implemented using explicitly. I got my point. And object as a parameter to the constructor. Everybody clear? Now, tomorrow I'm going to talk about static constructor. I'm stopping here because of the time. Shallow deep copy ఏంటి? అయినా అవసరం లేదు. Shallow copy, deep copy అంతా అవసరం లేదు. అంత దూరం పోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. అలా పోతే ఇంకా చాలా దూరం వెళ్తుంది. ఓకే, లీవ్ ఇట్. ఇంటర్వ్యూకి ఏంటి, రియల్ టైంలో ఏం వాడతాం? షాలో కాపీ, డీప్ కాపీ ఏం చేస్తుంది చెప్పు. ఈ కాపీ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ నే రెఫరెన్స్ టైప్ లో వాడినప్పుడు షాలో కాపీ అంటాం. డీప్ కాపీ అనేది వేరు. అది అంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ గా ఇక్కడ ఎక్కడ మనం చూడం, ఎవరు చెప్పరు. ఓకేనా? మళ్ళీ అది తీసుకున్నానంటే ఇంకొక 2 hours పడుతుంది. వద్దు, ఆపేద్దాం. క్లియర్? What is needed for the project, what is needed for the interview, I am covering. లేదంటే మనకి it will take a long. So I don't want to get into that. Okay. So tomorrow I am going to talk about static constructor. Okay. We'll see tomorrow then. If at all possible, tomorrow I will take 2 hours to complete static and private if possible. I'm not guaranteed. I'll take and close. See, sharp ga 8:05 ఇక్కడ ఉన్నారంటే నాకు కరెక్ట్గా ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు నేను స్టాటిక్ స్టార్ట్ చేశాను మీకు, ఇట్ విల్ టేక్ అనదర్ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్. నాకు ఇంకో బ్యాచ్ ఏదో కొత్తగా వస్తున్నారంట 9 to 10. అప్పుడు వాళ్ళు డిస్టర్బ్ అవుతారు. అర్థమైందా? థ్యాంక్ యూ.